since we last talked, what has happened?
Weeks after my termination letter, there is now another communique that came out a few days ago where basically I am being accused of a slew of things. Projects that I initiated in order to deliver on my mandate, they are now claiming they were not AU supported, which is quite ridiculous. Because those projects were based on what I used to request my budget. There was no budget when I first came in, the first year, so I had to present a budget specifically stating what activities I wanted to engage in order to deliver on my mandate, which are the two mandates, promoting Africa in the Americas, as well as galvanizing the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. That I did. The budget was given. I proceeded with creating the programs. These programs, quarterly, I would report back to the headquarters every program that I would have implemented. The main three ones were, for example, I organized the women into an association that they called the Pan-African Diaspora Women. This was not a registered entity. It was only a social organization for the purposes of diaspora women coming to the mission and discussing issues pertaining to the women. I also created the Pan-African Diaspora Youth. This was for young people. Also, they would come and would discuss their issues. And then, of course, we did the same thing with men. I took this opportunity to educate and inform the diaspora women and the diaspora youth and the men about the activities of the African Union, updates on decisions from the African heads of states. So it was really a very dynamic group of people, but it was difficult to all of us meet at the same time. On their own, as women, as youth, as men, they would then have their own sessions and discuss their issues separately. So it worked very well in terms of promoting and galvanizing the African diaspora and making everybody feel that they were part of the process. So those were three. Trying to claim that I registered them illegally. They're not registered. I simply brought the diaspora together, which was part of my mandate. The other thing they're accusing me of having done, I had a program which was a joint activity between the State Department and the African Union Mission. The young African leaders from the continent came together and spent a day with young African leaders in the diaspora. It was a beautiful event. The youth engaged with each other. It is those kind of relationships that are going to give us the results that we need. Some of them have engaged in relationships that have lasted even to this day. That is what we need. We need to engage our young people. Again, even though this was with the State Department, they say it's not part of the AU program. The other program that I implemented was Miss African Union. It was an amazing event. We brought in African tradition, African wear. It was a 5-hour event. The dancers were from the ghetto kids from Rwanda. We had the Rwandese traditional dancers, the ghetto kids from Uganda, and the Ndebele dancers. Amazing evening. All the contestants wore African clothes. The judges and the contestants had to learn about Berlin Conference, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, OAU, AU, all the way to the African Continental Free Trade Area. It was educational. It is all part of promoting Africa in the United States, but at the same time, also promoting African textile trade and industry. All those projects, they were part of implementation of my mandate. So to then turn around and say they were not part of the African Union, that is ludicrous. Every quarter, I would report every activity. It is a requirement that I have the quarterly activity report. All those activities were reported.
There are 95,000. Here we go to my iPad, please.
There was never a question of whether or not these were African Union projects. I think what it is, it goes back to the 95,000 people who signed. They never expected that the diaspora would come up with such numbers. they feel threatened. And then secondly, lately, the diaspora, a few days ago, they also started another petition, which they are calling Faki Must Go. I think that's really what led them into coming up with this venom. But they need to realize that the diaspora are simply expressing their anger and disappointment. For the first time, the diaspora are saying, we felt we are represented. We felt connected to the African Union. They were updated, and they really felt they were ready to move into Africa and begin to participate in building the Africa that they want. So my dismissal was sudden, and to them, they felt that the chairman simply did not care about the diaspora. So what you're seeing is the outrage from the diaspora, who really felt for the first time they had a representative who understood them, a representative who listened to them, and to have that representative suddenly taken away from them was a very painful thing. I have to tell you, some diaspora, they called me in tears. Even me, I'm surprised that I had such an impact to so many people, in so many lives. And around the globe, honestly, if the truth be told, it's quite humbling when you see the response that's coming from the diaspora. So Chairman Faki needs to listen to the diaspora. They're trying to communicate with him, and it behooves him to pay attention to their voices.
Chairman Faki, you don't know the mistake you've made right now. This lady has galvanized the diaspora like nobody has done before. You have just started a moving train, which is not stopping. We are going forward with our ambassador, which is Dr. Chihombori. You accuse her of stealing money from the pageant. No, she didn't. I, Sylvia Robertson, was the deputy director for that Miss African Union pageant. And might I say, I'm sure you saw the videos and you're probably just kicking yourself somewhere out there. But let me tell you something. From the get-go, when she told us about this pageant, she made it very clear, exclusively clear, that the AU does not have any money, the AU does not have any budgets to pay anybody. However, there's a program that I have put before you. If you'd like to go ahead with it, please volunteer your time. And we ran. She asked us to come to her home, her house, not even the AU house. Doctor's house. That's where we went in Virginia. She served us dinner with her money, not the AU money, her money from her house. And we all agreed to say we would do the pageant because it's a passion for all of us. We are Africans and very proud African queens and kings.